Okay. So, good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. So, want to get back into doing some lives, having conversations, doing Q&As. We've had a lot of people that actually said they quite like this stuff. So, we're going to carry on and be doing more. As time grows, we're going to start bringing more interviews and more credible names that are going to be coming through. That's going to be over space of the next coming month. Talk about you can do. Pop them in the chat. Good morning to TikTok. You're here. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. The idea behind this today is really sort of jumping into some of the Q&As that were put in from Instagram. For some reason, I've lost one of my phones, so I can't do the other one. So we're on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Some of the questions that have popped in over on Instagram, we're going to go live over there in a moment to cover on those as well. One of the big problems that I think for most people at the minute is that they don't have everything set up in the right way. And the people that are actually doing the work in the right way aren't actually managing to execute in the highest possible level. We're at a stage at the moment that a lot of businesses, you look at a lot of people in and around property. If you look at a lot of people that are in and around a lot of industries, they have had a bit of a heyday on the last maybe 2 to 3 years. And a lot of people have really been shooting fish in a barrel, which has made it really hard for people to accept when times actually change. And this is one of the biggest problems that we're going to see. For a lot of people out there now, they've gone through the easy times, and a lot of people really struggled in those easy times. So now that for B2B especially, budgets are getting more scrutinized. If you're looking at B2C, we've got the cost of living crisis, whether you believe in that or not. Some people that really affects, some it doesn't. So then people are looking at the way they spend their money differently, where people might have been a little bit more free, throw it around. People want to see a bit more reassurance, a bit more confidence in what they're actually doing, what they're actually buying. And as salespeople, our job is to initiate change. And it's very difficult for us to go off and initiate change if we aren't focusing enough on a number of areas. That's what I wanted to sort of talk about today. So if you're here, TikTok people, if you're here, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name's David. I've got a brand called The Sales Angel, and we work with businesses from the coach, consultant, expert, solopreneur level, all the way through to large organizations doing £10 million plus with small, highly skilled sales teams. We've got an online academy. We've got the Ultimate Sales Train Academy, or TUSTA. We've got the Sales Masters podcast, and then we do a lot of stuff on social media, whether that's you guys over on TikTok, good morning, nice to see you, or LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and everything in between. The goal behind a lot of what we're doing at the minute is there's two main ways we work. Is primarily a lot of people that are in a business. So say you're a coach, a consultant, you're in property sourcing, deal sourcing, any of these businesses, even down to companies we work with in the crypto space. Most of these people have set a business up because they're not looking to be the salesperson, but they need sales. So what we'll get brought in to do is help build a better sales system, and then we scale out their business with high ticket closers. And that's the other side of what we do. On the flip side of what we do, we take people that are either enthusiastic about sales or have got 1 to 4 years experience in sales. We teach them the same methods that our clients get taught in their new sales system. And then what we do is we take those high ticket closers after 12 weeks of training them, and we place them into our clients' businesses on a commission only basis to help them go off and close the leads that the company has generated. To say that you're a coach, you're only spending 20% of your time doing any sales. This frees up that time for you to go and run the business and scale the business and focus on lead gen and delivery, rather than doing everything else that's out there instead. You want to know how we do any of that? There's links in bios and all about jazz, or just slide into the DMs. So we've got a couple of questions that have popped in on Instagram. So we're going to go live on Instagram in a moment. We normally have them on the separate phone here, but unfortunately from our side, my son decided to take one of my phones and lose it. I don't know how he's done that, but he has. Bless his heart. So what's the main problem we're going to be focusing on for most people? One of the biggest areas is follow-up. Most people are not following up in the way that they need to. Most people are following up and they're hoping and they're praying that the deal's just going to automatically fall into bed. I have a horrible thing to say. If they haven't brought, they're probably not as sold as you think, which means the follow-up is a really important part of exactly what we do. If you're not following up with people, you're not nurturing people, you're not helping them get to that next stage, you're letting them down, especially if you've got a product or a service that they've never brought before. They've got no idea what to expect. They don't know what's risky, what's not, what's a good idea, what's not. And it takes them having the conversation with an expert to actually make them have a comfort and belief and understanding to make an educated decision that they're going to have confidence in, but also be happy to move forward with as well. And that's why the follow-up is important. Second reason follow-up is important is that the vast majority of people that are out there have a very busy life. And they get sidetracked. They have stuff they need to do, and they get caught up trying to juggle 101 different things. And the thing that gets the most focus on their attention is the thing that they focus on and take action on. They could really need your product or service, but something else comes in their way, in their business, in their life. The amount of times where you get a B2C sale and they're suddenly going to do the kitchen instead, or change the car, or move house, or whatever it is. This is why the follow-up is so important, but it's also really important to take them from where they are now to that next level. I talk about the thermometer test. Imagine for the moment that someone needs to be at 85 degrees to buy your product or service. If they're at 80 and then you follow up with them and just say, hey, John, you ready to buy? They're not going to be at the stage that they're going to, because the thermometer's not at that point. And all the time that passes, the temperature is going to drop on their level of interest, desire, need, and priority that they've got. And so then people go back. They were at 75 out of 85. Now they're at 50. And people are like, hey, so you made a decision? Yeah, we've decided to insert objection. And then people just try and handle that objection and close them. It doesn't work because their thermometer is lower than where it needs to be. They've got to re-engage them. This is why when you're following up with people, it's so important to actually follow up with context, actually adding value, increasing the level of desire, interest, need, requirement, however you want to approach it. And it depends on what your clients need. And that's one of the biggest points for most people that's out there. Right, we're going to jump into doing some Q&As because we've only got 15 minutes today. So TikTok, you lot, if you want to come over to there, and we're going live on Instagram to do the Q&As from yesterday. If you want to come over, join David, the Sales Angel, or have a good day. See you later. Normally, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, we would have just had the second one on the go. But because my son decided to misplace my phone, it means that we've got to do this for today until we get another phone in. Okay. Bear with me, you lovely lot. Right, we're back. We're in. Okay, so Instagram, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So we've just been live over on TikTok. My son has lost my phone. We are already live with Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And we're dropping in, doing a bit of a Q&A. So if you get a question, you want to pop it in the chat, pop it in the chat. I'm going to be looking at this camera and you lot all at the same time. We're going to multitask and bring it out. So yesterday on Instagram, I put a question out there. What areas do you want us to cover? What are questions that you've got in and around sales, negotiation, persuasion, objections, business, setting up a business, getting more effective? And add the questions in the chat. I won't necessarily pick them up from you guys. Try it, pop them in there, we'll have a look. I've got 6 or 7 from Instagram story yesterday. And if you've got any more, pop them in and we are more than happy to go into it. Center of attention events. I'm in London for my first trip and here you are. Hello, Blondie. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Okay, so some of the questions you've asked. So one of the big questions we get asked, and this is something which happens a lot, is why do people hate sales itself? And it comes down to a number of areas. I think that partly it's because they've had bad sales experiences. I think there is a negative association to sales, selling, and persuasion because no one likes to feel uncomfortable because you've had a bad experience. But I also think it's because people are rubbish at it. And if you're rubbish at something, no one likes to do it. In the same way, most people wouldn't get on stage and talk or sing or dance in front of others, but they would go to a club and dance with other people. A lot of people aren't prepared to go and put themselves out there, and that's because there's a lack of skills, belief, and confidence in the back of it. So it's really important. If it's something that you hate, sales, but you're going to set up a business, if you don't have sales in a business, you have a hobby. And if you want to have a business, you're better off going off and becoming really good at sales for a short period of time than scaling out with salespeople like we do with the high ticket closer program. That becomes far easier for you rather than having a business, not wanting to do sales, and then you skirt around the subject. And when you do get on a sales call, you don't know what you're doing. You're guessing your way through. You end up feeling stressed and anxious. And that's because you're not prepared and you don't know what to say and when to say it. So then an objection comes, and heaven forbid someone has a question about your product or service, and then you're in a position that you're stuffed because you're not prepared and you're so anxious in the moment. So that's one of the problems that we've got. Question number 2, I'm looking to get into sales, but I'm not sure where to start. To be completely frank, depends what you're looking to do, depends what your confidence is, skills are, and how self-disciplined you are. Getting immersed in a company, doing something like door-to-door can actually be a real good baptism of fire. You can go become an appointment setter now. I've got people that join our high ticket closer program. But again, you've got to be the right person to get into it. The main goal you want to focus on is finding a role that you can earn commissions quick, where there's a short deal cycle, as in it's a 1 call, 2 call close in a product or service that you've got an understanding with, or on the flip side, that you understand who their clients are and you can relate to them. Because if you can relate to their clients, it makes it far easier for you to actually go off and do it. Worst way to introduce yourself? This question always makes me laugh. So one of the worst ways for us to be introducing ourselves is just talking about our title. But you've got to grab context here. What is the context behind what you are actually trying to do? For the vast majority of people, whether you're here on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, if you're meeting someone and they're like, what is it you do? And they're never going to become a prospect, sure, just tell them your title. But if you can have an explainer behind that that's short and prompt, and it talks about the result that you help people do, what you want them to then do is ask a question. Most people explain something hoping that there's no questions. But actually, if they ask you a question, now there's a conversation. So if you have something where you say a statement that builds curiosity, where they're going to ask a question, that opens up a dialogue, and now you can have a bit of back and forth. Most people are going out and just trying to say a statement that's going to require no reply, and the conversation's got nowhere to go. We were talking about follow-up earlier, and someone put in the questions, is follow-up worth it? 100% it's worth it, but you've got to be able to do it effectively, and you've got to do it to add value to the other person. The vast majority of people that are following up, they're following up to take the order. Hey, John, you ready to go ahead? That type of thing. You want to add value. And this is what we were saying Instagram on the live earlier. Think about the thermometer check. Let's say they need to be at 85 degrees to buy from us, right? And now they're at 60. Every day that passes, that's dropping lower and lower and lower. So by you following up and saying, hey, John, have you made a decision? They're likely going to say no, because now they've got lower interest than when you spoke to them a couple of days ago. So go in with the intention of adding value. Have a reason to contact them outside of the deal. That could be that you're phoning up because of a new article, a new report, a podcast that you heard, something you'd thought about, a meeting that you'd had. And you can link that back into the conversation behind it, and it makes it far easier. Big question we had before as well was, how do we overcome overwhelm? Overwhelm can be smothering, and it's horrible. No one enjoys feeling overwhelmed. But actually, a lot of the time we're overwhelmed is because there's too much going on that we can't organize, or we're trying to build 20 jigsaws in one go. Imagine trying to build 20 jigsaws all on a big load of tables going around. That would be overwhelming. You're better off focusing in on singular areas and getting a clear list of what you're trying to do, where you're trying to get to, and how you're trying to get there. And I'll give you a prime example. I had a client recently who's suffering massive overwhelm, but 60% of their day was doing the daily repeated tasks. So the other part of their time was doing other things. What they needed to do was look through their list of the things that were going to move the needle, the things that they could do once, and then pass on to someone else. So, for example, they're going to have affiliates. By them getting the affiliate side organized and getting that finished, they could send that out to all 10 affiliates. That means the other 10 affiliates are now doing lead gen. That means that they don't need to do lead gen. So now the 2 hours a day on lead gen they were doing, they don't now need to do. Now they've got 2 hours a day back. So now they can work through. And that's why it's so important to really get caught up with that, or not to get caught up with the actions, but what you can tick off permanently in the list and pass on. So that was the main questions we had in there. We are going to jump over to, going to move my phone. All right, Instagram. Good morning. Let's bring you up on here. Hello. Jay Stone, good morning. Good to see you. Josh Carter, good morning. James, mental health coach. Dylan, good to see you. Matt Hall, the amazing Matt Hall. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going to get back in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta. We're going to get back into doing more lives. Again, this week's been good getting back into the flow. We're also going to be getting things prepared, ready for season 2 of the podcast. We're going to be starting recording in the next couple of months. So for certain people that you think would be a great guest, let me know. We've got some amazing people in the States. We've got some amazing people in the UK. We are being very fussy about the people we bring in, because I only want, like we did last time, we want to really hit the charts well. I was blown away last year, not last year, but both 2022, 2023, for hitting the top 10 charts, I think, in 12 countries. And I think that was because of the people we had on, because we were really fussy and we really made sure that they were a great audience for you guys to get the best experience. So if you get any, drop me in chat, let me know. If not, we will catch up with you tomorrow. Today's a manic one. I'm watching James Arthur in concert tonight. So we've got a busy day ahead. So Instagram, good. Link